Hi, it's Megan. I am a huge fan of the Kerosene fragrances. In fact, I'm such a huge fan of them. I have them for sale on the Essential Beauty website because I love them. What I love about them, they're distinctive, they're different, they're unique, they're just fabulous, they're just unusual, but super balanced. And then I also feel like John Pegg, who is the founder and the nose, the one who creates these, I find that he just mixes elements together that sometimes can just not work or be cloying or just over the top in a way that just kind of fits a modern lifestyle. It just has this real sense to it that's kind of postmodern, not cloying, not old lady, not cliche, just very different, distinctive, and unusual, which I kind of like stuff like that. So this is Santalum Slivers, and you get a little bag like this. So these are $140 for 100 milliliters. And let me open it up and show you this bottle. Can't even get it out of the package very gracefully because that's what I'm like. So this is the bottle, and so this is actually hand painted by John himself. It's kind of interesting. I'd asked him about it, and it has an automobile paint, but then it has to have a special kind of process to, do the first coat, then whatever else, and then a base and all that. I'm not really good on painting perfume bottles, but part of it is just that with perfume, the perfume will actually eat away at the paint if it's not done correctly. So he does this really cool thing himself, which I just also love, right? I mean, part of the thing that's nice about luxury products is that they look nice and they have that feel. And this scent is, like most of the Kerosene fragrances, this is a unisex fragrance. And so what does it smell like? So the basic notes are, I'm going to get creamed on this one, vetiver, musk, sandalwood, bergamot, grapefruit, lemon, orange, rose, pepper, hay, cucumber, and cedar. And so what they say is citrus juices with sandalwood, with the addition of cucumber and rose. It's like catching a whiff of an orchard air in the summertime. I'm going to go into my whole little, I wrote all kinds of stuff here, right? I'm going to go into my whole little thing, but what really amazed me about the scent as I was looking at other reviews online, because I always like to hear what everyone else has to say. What amazed me about this one, especially having smelled it and, worn it for days on end, was how different people felt about this one. Some people really felt it was a citrus scent, and some people really felt it was too heavy on the rose, and then others thought it was more sandalwood with a little dash of lemon, but not the orange and the grapefruit. And I was kind of left coming up with, okay, you know what? It smells different on everyone, and this is what it smells like to me and on me. So there's the first kind of spray, and that's another thing I like about Kerosene. I feel like every time I spray one of their scents, it just really does evolve. Like some things I spray on and 2 hours later it smells exactly the same, and it just never really gets richer or deepens, or it has no complexity. These have a lot of complexity, and so I felt like this on me really shifted a lot. So when I first sprayed it, I really felt the citrus and the sandalwood. I also, the bergamot, but not just the bergamot. So we'll bring the hay into it. Maybe it was the hay, but there was a tea kind of scent to it, which is not one of the notes. So it was more like Earl Grey tea as opposed to just the bergamot itself. And I thought that was kind of interesting because no one else that I read seemed to notice that. I did not feel a big whiff of grapefruit versus orange. I felt citrus. When it first went on, I felt the citrus was a little bit heavier in the grapefruit and the orange, but only for about 20 minutes. And then I felt like the citrus itself softened, the lemon kind of came into it a little bit more, and the citrus was more on me. It was an undernote. It was definitely there, but I didn't feel like this was a citrus scent. The sandalwood, however, I'm smelling it now. It's like a very sophisticated sandalwood, a very, almost like an aged sandalwood feel to it. This is definitely a fresher, lighter scent. In fact, of all of the kerosene scents that I've smelled, and I've smelled them all, this one might be one of the lightest, if not the lightest, but definitely in that, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 category. So it's not like a musty old, you know, wood kind of thing, but it feels very, you know, that sandalwood, it doesn't smell like incense, but it has that complexity of the wood. That's really well defined, but not as in like aged wood, more like just really high quality wood. Fresh, very fresh, that's the word. So maybe that's where the hay comes in too, is that it does have a fresh sandalwood, but a very high quality, light, but still sophisticated and concentrated sandalwood scent. But again, this is a lighter scent, so it's not like you're wearing this heavy wood thing on you. And sandalwood has special memories for me when I was young. My dad went to India a lot, and he would bring back these carved sandalwood things. So I always, anytime I smell anything that reminds me of some of the stuff he used to bring back, the incense, which would be like patchouli or sandalwood, there's always an emotional feel to it. And I'm probably not completely objective, because it just takes me back to those carvings and the intensity, as they were brand new, the intensity of that wood, which is just so aromatic. So I love the sandalwood. And also, I don't know, sandalwood is a scent that can get kind of cheap or over the top or musty, or there's none of that here. This is a very fresh, crisp, clean version of sandalwood. And part of that is just that the citrus is adding a summery element. That's where the orchard comes in, right? Then, when I first spray it, I do get a touch of cucumber. I don't really get a lot of rose. But as it wears, the citrus starts wearing away, and I start feeling more cucumber, or sensing, smelling more cucumber and more rose. But when I talk about the rose, I want to make it clear, this is more like a rosebud. If you think about how roses smell when they're still on the vine and they're on the bud, there's almost a green element to it. It's very fresh, it's light, and then you get those richer, fuller, denser, just meatier, he's a bad word for rose, isn't it? But that heavier feel. And I like both kinds of rose, but to me, this is more that kind of rosebud. And again, maybe that's where the hay comes in. Then, so as I was writing here, I said, the wood gets a little denser, the citrus lightens up, the rose becomes a little bit more apparent, but not in a very feminine way. This is definitely not a feminine scent. This is definitely unisex. It feels more cologne-ish than perfume-ish, although the wear time on me is about 8, maybe a little bit longer hours. Then I said the rose keeps it from being too light. It does add a richness and a complexity that the scent wouldn't have without that. It would be just like a citrus wood scent, which there are a million of those. So it does add an element which makes it much more distinctive and noticeable. Then the wood continues to soften and soften and soften, but it's still, how would I describe it? It's like, it's just gently aging, fading away. And I do love wood scents. I love both versions. There's like the lighter ones like this, and then there are those heavy, deep, dusky, you know, rich, like library kind of feeling scents. This is definitely in that fresher, kind of lighter wood feel. And then the cucumber, I love cucumber scents. I will admit that sometimes they can smell a little bit like chemicals, or a lot like chemicals. I still like cucumber scents. I like things with aquatic, you know, undertones, even though those can smell a little chemically too. I just like the light freshness of cucumber. And this smells like cucumber water. So if you go to a spa and they have that big jar of cucumber in the water, that's really how the cucumber is in this. It doesn't have that overpowering punch of cucumber. It has more cucumber in water, softer. And what else did I say? I liked how this one aged. That's I think probably the hard, like on me, on my skin, I think that's the hardest thing to describe, because it just doesn't seem like the kind of perfume that's going to get richer as you wear it longer, but it did somehow, and I'm not quite sure why. I did not get the pepper. Sorry, I just didn't smell it at all. Maybe, well, just a touch. And then the cedar mixes really well with the sandalwood, and I think that maybe what part of the reason why it does get richer as it wears. Cedar again is not a super heavy scent, but it is definitely heavier in my opinion than sandalwood, and I see cedar a lot in those heavier wood fragrances, and I'm guessing by how it works here, that's kind of what's adding the richness to the scent. So overall, how would I describe it? Smell it one more time. This is just, it's like one of those awful scents that I sometimes like, which have a little too much cucumber, but then it's just turned into a really sophisticated version of that kind of a feel, which is a great scent for summertime. It's light, it's breathes, it's wearable, it's sophisticated, very modern, but it's also one, because of the wood in it, that works, I think, kind of all around the year. Is it better for men versus women? No, it really isn't. If you want a really girly scent, this isn't for you, but it is also a very masculine scent, but not one that a woman can't wear. And that's because it's avoiding a lot of those heavier kind of, I don't know, masculine things that just don't work for women. So I know that was a real sophisticated close, but that's the close of this video. On a scale of 1 to 10, I really love this perfume, or this, yeah, it is a perfume. I really love it. I think it's great. And I would love to hear what other people have to say, especially because, like I said, I read all these reviews and they varied so much, with kind of people feeling different elements overpowered others more than I smelled, or people just smelled it differently. Maybe it wears different on different people's skin. Now I'm rambling, so I'm gonna say goodbye, and please subscribe on YouTube.